There's a fungus among us.
So Clayton's excited about today's call.
This is not just a call. This is Root You, baby.
That's right.
Live from Austin, Texas, coming to you from the chairs of the Kimpton Hotel, Hotel Van Zandt.
We're doing podcast all day. We've got Shauna and Jill here, and
from the Detox Girls,
Patrick and Lisa. Come say hi to everyone real quick.
For Christ's sake, Lisa Kreitz,
our new media PR manager. Lisa.
Hi, everybody.
This is Lisa Kreitz. She just started this month with us. I also grew up with Lisa. Scoot over.
I can't. I'm too thick. Fine. We don't fit in the chair.
I'm just saying. I just want to say hi.
She's always trying to push me around.
So we grew up. She's my big sister in sorority, and we grew up since we were little together. And so she's just jumped in. But I want to say a few things about her. Lisa is a cancer survivor of breast cancer. She had a double mastectomy, and then she is one of the premier speakers for the American Cancer Society, and has she developed what's called the shower shirt, which it was for breast cancer in women. It's now used for all kinds of cancer. For when people take a shower, it's approved by Medicare and insurance companies, and she's been honored all over the world. And she also does a lot for philanthropy for the American Cancer Society and for a lot of different organizations. So we're very excited to have her join us. Before Lisa got cancer and developed the shower shirt and became an inventor of a medical device, she was actually a news anchor on television and a journalist. So Lisa, I'd love for you to say a few things just really quick to everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I'm getting up.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Yes, I worked in health and medical journalism for almost 20 years. I was in the newsroom, and then evolved into more media strategy work for large health systems, and then ended up with breast cancer. So I went from interviewing breast cancer patients and surgeons to basically being one. And so that's evolved. And so now I'm kind of on the periphery of health and medical, and have been for many years. And so Christina and I go way back, and our lives have always just kind of gone parallel. She's very educated. I'm not.
That's not true. We actually went to college together.
We did go to college together. And so now I'm just so amazed at how I just admire her and Clay and what they've done with Root brand. I mean, we have Root Wellness. It was probably 3 years ago. I was at their office in Nashville visiting, and they said, we think we're going to make our own products. And I was like, go for it. And I'm just amazed at the growth. I'm not surprised based on these two brains. So anyway, I'm joining. I'm going to be in and out helping with Christina. Thought of her publicity with her book, and we're going to get her on TV across the U.S. And you guys will see every news clip available once they start getting rolled in. So anyway, I wanted to say hi. Have a great day, and I'll let Clay have his seat right back.
Yeah, I'm
going to sit in for Clay for a while.
Lisa will be helping us actually with getting media and interviews for Root and for what we're doing, as well as the new books that we're going to be launching to help with Root University and with Root and the whole brand, so it can help you all. And of course, most of the media, and I'm sure you guys know this, will not have a link. So that gives you guys the opportunity to put your own links and spread it out once we get the media and interviews on television. So we're really excited about her joining us, and not just because of that, but because of what she represents as far as helping people all over the world. Do you want to say something else?
One other thing, in our getting you in the magazine to do monthly guest columns.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to make sure once those are there in print, we want them shared everywhere.
Oh.
They can help us keep more and more media continuing to domino in the U.S.
Right. So we haven't announced this yet, but there will be some television interviews, and there will be media, and there will be editorials where I will be writing for like women's health initiatives and healthcare and science talks, which we will then translate and have you guys push out throughout the different countries. It's kind of odd right now. We have more PR almost in other countries than the United States. So we're trying to basically use stuff here that we push out as well.
Big story coming out in Germany on Friday.
Big story. Yeah. Has Lisa reviewed that?
Nope.
I have not.
That's why I didn't let her, because some things I just take over and create chaos with.
Okay, great.
And you'll be on Channel 5 in Nashville the last week in October.
There we go.
So we will be on Channel 5 in Nashville, Tennessee, on Fox, right?
NBC.
NBC, the last week in October, which is my birthday month with Stephanie. The information provided is for educational purposes and is not intended for medical advice or a substitute for medical advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare professionals. You should not use this information for diagnosing a health or fitness problem or disease. You should always consult with a doctor or other healthcare professionals for medical advice or information about diagnosis and treatment. This is not to be used for sales or marketing purposes. This is used for educational purposes only. So Root University, and this is a big week for Root. We have Modern Nirvana this week. We have the first podcast launches of Under the Red Chandelier that we will be showing, where we're bringing in some amazing people. You guys are going to love seeing what has been done, because I say has been done. Root's corporate team, as well as you guys, have really worked at bringing some of the top people to the table. And now Lisa Kreitz is working on bringing even more people. So we're extremely excited. We don't need to talk about me. We know me. No, please don't, because I get frustrated. And we have so much to.
But I got an honorary master's degree and PhD in the study of ramanetics. So right, we can talk about this a little bit. Your background is diverse, and you are really the ultimate in humanity and science coming together in a convergence of greatness.
Well, I went to school for a long time, and I even had that criticized, but not really anymore. We just recently got asked to do, or I got asked to do a podcast, which will stream all over the Middle East, which will be monthly. It will be based out of Dubai, where we are going to call it Root for Women. And we'll be empowering women all over the world and bringing to the forefront how women should be treated, how they should be respected. And we will show that in the Middle East, there's a major change going on where there's a lot of support for women. And again, the podcast will be called Root for Women. And so we're very excited about that. And I am thankful for my education, because without my education, this opportunity would not have just happened. We actually just found out about it today. So we're really excited.
Then there's that guy.
And then there's Clayton, who is the founder of Root. And I always say this, he is the reason that we're here.
You're actually the reason we're here.
Clayton can be controversial, which is one of the things I love about him. He's not like everyone else. He says what he thinks.
Sometimes I say things without thinking.
Yeah,
that's true.
Lisa was saying, well, you're never going to be bored. And I said, that's for sure. And people don't know this about me. I actually get bored pretty easy. So the very fact that Clayton keeps me energized and keeps me active and keeps me guessing is a great thing. But I think, one of the things I realized about Clayton when I first met him was how incredibly smart he was, and how he had this amazing brain that was able to think about things even really more than any doctor or scientist I had worked with. And so it's really an honor, to be honest, from a purely business perspective, to be able to work with someone like Clayton. He makes comments that it's so funny. He makes the comments, and usually I really actually agree with a lot of his comments. We don't always agree on political thoughts or on some of the theories, but we agree in essence on a lot of things. And then there's things we completely disagree on. But one of the things that I think is always energizing to me is the fact that we can talk about almost any scientific subject, and he brings information that I don't know to the table, and hopefully vice versa. But I do want to say today's talk, which is focused on the elimination of pathogens with fungus, this is a topic that I studied for years. Actually, it's something I know kind of off the top of my head. It's very easy for me to talk about. I worked at Pfizer when we launched fluconazole, which is used for yeast infections throughout the body. And it's actually a pill format. And a lot of times people will take it when they're taking an antibiotic, or people that have been exposed to fungus. It also comes in an IV format. I've said this before to you guys, there's a lot of people that die in a hospital or in a morgue that actually die from fungus. And
actually, the people that are in the morgue are already dead.
I know, but when they do autopsies, thank you for bringing that up.
I don't have much to say on this, but there is a fungus among us.
There is, and actually, so I've studied this for years and how fungus, like aspergillus, are extremely dangerous. In fact, there's a lot of people that have a belief process that fungus is one of the things that causes things like cancer. And I do think it's a contributing factor. I think it's something that people have had to deal with for years. And there's not a lot of scientists and doctors that completely understand everything about fungus. So I hope that today shares some insight. The products that I've worked on, babies are born, and mothers that are out there, when they get white in their mouth, that's thrush. Women get yeast infection. The truth is, a lot of babies are born with fungus, and fungus will actually expand or grow viral infections, bacterial infections, et cetera, et cetera. When people get viral infections like a virus or a bacteria, another thing that happens is they're treated with medication and the fungus will proliferate and grow too. And a lot of times doctors have not been educated on this, or they don't understand it. And one of the reasons for that is your test that tests for fungus actually have a 50% positive, 50% negative. So what that means is you can be tested for fungus in a lab and it can come back negative or positive and it's not accurate. So a lot of times doctors don't treat for it. And the problem with that is it typically will not go away. It makes your body out of balance and it causes a lot of problems. So on the next slide, we're going to talk about the production of fungus and the different types of common fungus that you have. Everybody knows about athlete's foot.
Yeah. So when we look at fungus, is mold.
I hate seeing the pictures.
Yeast. It's a whole bunch of different factors, and when you see that in your mouth, it's not a good time.
No, it's not. And a lot of people that have cancer, or again, viral infections or bacterial infections, they develop thrush from radiation or chemotherapy. You get thrush from using things like Zithromax or Trovan or Cipro. You can get thrush. And even ringworm is a common type of fungus that's transmitted. And it's, you can get it in your toes. It's really hard to get rid of it in your toes or your nails of the body. It's very, very hard. But the truth is, it's hard to get out of everything. And a lot of times people will have like bacterial pneumonia and they're treated with an antibiotic, but then it turns into fungal pneumonia. So it's really important that people understand that yeast can be very negative for the body and can cause a lot of issues. And it's important that people actually treat it, which is why there's a lot of ingredients in the different formulas that I use that help with bacteria and viruses, that assist the body in fighting those, but they also assist with fungus and parasites. Because another thing that happens is the fungus actually will breed parasites in the colonies. And again, there's not a lot of education on that. Even a lot of doctors are not educated on it. You even find more doctors in like Africa that understand it than even the United States, because they treat it with natural things like turmeric curcumin, resveratrol, black cumin seed, and other ingredients, which is why it's really important to understand that this infection, when it becomes fungal, it can actually go body-wide and become very systemic. So it's really important to treat.
So when you look at the parasites and some of the viral components and the fungus, the growth or proliferation of fungus is what those parasites will hide in. And they'll use that as a protective barrier, but they'll also use that to grow. And your immune system, when working properly, and you have the right NAD levels because your mitochondria is functioning properly and producing the energy to be able to do the work, your immune system is what keeps this at bay, right? In creating homeostasis.
Right.
But when you're out of whack and you have dysbiosis,
yes,
that's when you have things that begin to grow and proliferate, and you get to see signs of an imbalance that have to be addressed. But even the means of treating a lot of those infections or the overgrowth also creates additional imbalance.
Absolutely. And it's really a bad cycle. And people that get these fungal infections, it's kind of like ovarian cancers. It's silent a lot of times. Sometimes you'll have the like ringworm look, or you'll have your nails or in your mouth. But a lot of times when it's inside your body and your organs or in different parts of the body, you don't even know that it's happening. And you can have it in your skin. You can have it in your respiratory tract, like you can have sinus problems that have fungus in it. You can have respiratory, like bronchitis and pneumonia. And that's not what doctors think of. So you go to the doctor, they diagnose you with pneumonia, they treat with an antibiotic. The problem is if it's a fungal infection, that antibiotic will actually make the fungal infection worse. So I always tell people, if you're going to be on an antibiotic, ask your doctor for an antifungal like diflucan, or you could use our products, which help lower the ability for the body to proliferate when it comes to.
So if you had a choice, would you go the route of pharmaceuticals initially, or would you use what nature made and provided initially to create the barriers, and then would you use what you've been able to do from a natural standpoint of understanding what many of these components are capable of doing, and give those to the body to let the body begin to take care of itself as needed?
Well, naturally, which we need to go on to our products so we can talk about it. I think there's a couple more slides before, so Jaleb, we can go forward. Naturally, your body, we can't claim to cure fungus because we're not a pharmaceutical company. But
pharmaceutical companies can't even claim to cure stuff.
No, that's not true. So diflucan, fluconazole, is indicated for fungal infections.
Yes, it's indicated.
So, it's indicated, but that means they're allowed to talk about it.
Yes.
I always talk about, we have natural ingredients in our products that really help the body fight off fungus, because you've got fungus in your body.
Yeah,
right?
we all have it.
So let's say you take diflucan or fluconazole, you still have fungus, but you've got to get it in balance, which is what I always talk about. And one of the things that was really important to me in this whole process, because I have, just being very open with people, I have struggled with fungus my entire life. I have actually, I used to be a lifeguard, and I had to deal with the fact that, I had a lot of issues with yeast infections. We have our kids like with, they get, anyway, it runs in the family. So some people have a harder time dealing with fungus. And I really think it's probably one of the factors that cause different forms of cancer, like make it grow in my body. So again, it was really important that I was able to use things or to make things that could help people with this. And one of the things was CleanSlate. When I first started working with zeolites and clino and silicas, I was looking at how it helped with fungus. And there was all kinds of articles, but it wasn't the strongest. Your clino, your zeolites, it's not the strongest thing to get rid of fungus. So I really wanted to add the trace minerals and the vitamins that could help really support the body so that it could help with things. And, I think diflucan is an amazing product. I know that I'm not here to promote that at all. I don't make money off of it, obviously, but it is needed. It can cause problems with the liver and the kidneys, but only in high doses. So that's only if you're using it a lot. You're not supposed to drink when you're on that, by the way. And there's certain other products you're not supposed to take when you're on that. But of course, the thing you want to do at first, Clay, is to do natural things that can help your body get into balance. And I always say that it's important for the body to have this low expression of enzymes so that fungus doesn't keep growing. And that's one of the things that certain types of silica and clino can do. It can actually basically lower that expression. So there's not the ability for this to proliferate. And I say this all the time, it's the growing or proliferation that's such a problem. And I think the fact that I was able to use silica and as an alternative, to other things, I think is an amazing thing, because, who cares what I make? Who cares what we do in life, as long as we help people? And so the goal, again, is to lower the expression so that this enzyme doesn't keep growing and fungus doesn't keep proliferating.
So when you look at the publication that we had up with silica nanoparticles, what's interesting is they were just working with silica as its base, but as you're touching on the value of clinoptilolate and how it functions is what you've been able to do and have the patents and the proprietary process and steps to do this is you've taken nature's most powerful crystal that is a detoxifier that also has the base of this bioavailable silica, which is unique. And the process that you've created, which has never been done before, and I can say that because for the last 18 years, I've been at the forefront of this amazing little crystal and what it's capable of doing. And what you've been able to do is unlock the cage and allow the delivery of the bioavailable silica, but at the same time, maintaining the cage structure and the binding capability to remove a lot of the mycotoxins, the heavy metals, the other environmental toxins that allow the proliferation of these things. But in addition, you've added the trace minerals, but I will argue even more importantly,
vitamin C.
It's not just the vitamin C, it's what you've done energetically and what you've done from a frequency standpoint, from a polarization standpoint, with the intention and the energetics of what you've been able to apply to this, which is actually something that we haven't talked about much. But when you combine what the physical properties are, as well as with the energetic properties, you can look at all the research that's been done on what ascorbic acid can do and what silica can do. But what you've done with CleanSlate is orders of magnitude greater than any of the data that's already been published. So you can look at the published literature and go, okay, how does ascorbic acid inhibit Candida, right? And how does silica and how do silicas work with the...
How many times have I been criticized for putting ascorbic acid in the CleanSlate?
Oh, well, let's talk about ascorbic acid.
I actually have to do something with this on a podcast today because I have so many people ask why I use certain ingredients. And the vitamin C, and I say this a lot, was used as a catalyst to really help propel what was in CleanSlate to go throughout the body and be more bioavailable and be more efficacious. And that's why I used it. But there were many other reasons I've used it. And I talk about this a lot. Vitamin C is very disruptive to virus and bacteria. Vitamin C is also very disruptive to fungus because of the way it disrupts. It basically interferes with the gene expression so the fungus can't proliferate again. So not only do you have silica and trace minerals, you've got a vitamin C and CleanSlate that is in there to really disrupt this basically loud noise. And I mean it like that. Like in your body, you've got viruses, bacteria. Yeah, you've got all this stuff. You've got to lower it and you've got to make this equilibrium, which is extremely important. And that was also one of the reasons. Like, I don't know if Clayton probably does not remember this, but when I worked on the original formula, which I then later went back and changed. Of course, you guys have heard me talk about CleanSlate. It's a lot stronger than what I made in the beginning in 2015 and 16. Yeah. It's much better. And there's other products I've worked on out there, but I don't stand behind them because people have changed them and everything else. But this particular product, it was really important to me that I added extra, basically, disruption to fungus because of how I think fungus interferes with our overall quality and quantity of life. I think it's really important that I spent time focusing on that because I wanted to disrupt the cycle so that the fungus would be broken down and it wouldn't take over in the body.
So for people that want to question why you do a couple things and why you've added things and why you do what you do, when I take my glasses off now, I like get really serious. So let's do this. Watch this. So if you question why she's doing the things she's doing, let me make this really clear. She's smarter than all of us.
That's not true, Clayton.
Well, actually,
why would you say that?
Because I'm married to you. I know. I can say these things.
Oh my goodness.
I can say these things because I'm around you quite a bit. Look, here's something that we have to accept. She's made a little bit different than us. She speed reads. She has an eidetic memory. She's got 20 years around biotech and nanotechnology, bioscience engineering, She's worked in cloning, molecular design.
I hope everyone has a husband like you because, well, not in every way.
there's a lot of guys, I will tell you, that don't want a husband like me. Right, guys?
There's a lot of women that may make it. Oh, Lisa's raising her
hand. And most
hand.
women would go, wait a minute, I could not handle this. and I'm only made for one.
Lisa
right?
says he's a great brother. So anyway, but no, there's lots of reasons that I make choices, just like we all make choices when we are experts at something. And I look at the root community like you're all experts in health and wellness, because we have grown a community that's the focus of everyone, is to help others. But I did want to bring that up about CleanSlate. I'm getting ready to answer some questions in a podcast about it, but that was one of the reasons that was used. The other thing, and you guys have heard me talk about ReLive greens and how important to my life ReLive greens is, because it was something that I took every day when I was struggling with different types of cancerous things that were in my body. And it was really important to me that I was able to bring in this proprietary blend of all of these greens and algae that are so important to our bodies. And not just because they aid in like nutrition, right? Mm-hmm. Not just because of the fiber in each serving or how they're good for the body, not just because of supporting the overall hormones of the body, but it was really important to me to bring something that people didn't have to worry about the GMOs and the gluten, and that they would really help the body. So I chose ingredients that would really be able to battle different things like fungus. I wanted ingredients that I knew had managed and been used for certain things like Candida, Candida. I never say it right. Well, Candida, Candida.
Ginger Keanu would call it Canda.
That's right. Don't stop making fun of Patrick. Patrick made one mistake. He wrote Candida wrong on a newsletter, and Clayton never lets him live that down. We all make mistakes, and that wasn't even a big mistake. I can't even pronounce words right. So, but anyway, you guys know I'm a huge fan of probiotics and prebiotics, and at some point I will do additional work in that area. But for me, it was really important to add to the ReLive greens so that we could really help manage different things. And again, when you look at the body and you look at the GI, your GI is really moist, right? There's a lot of ability. It's the perfect environment. Let me say that for fungus to grow. Fungus grows where it's dark and moist. I always say that. That's where it grows. And so in your stomach.
Not a lot of light in your stomach.
No.
And in your gut.
And it's important, like we know that oral, vaginal, we know all of the different areas in the body, which are very important. We know that they can have this invasive fungal infection, right? So it's really important to be able to use things like probiotics. And that was one of the reasons that I put it into ReLive greens. I wanted to be able to, again, balance out the body and make sure that the body was able to thrive and not be something that was a hindrance to us. Another thing, and there's so many slides we could put up here. This is on CHLORELLA, but you could take almost every ingredient in the ReLive greens and it would show different ways that it's able to help the body, again, present this equilibrium, which is why I chose the specific ingredients. But if you look at CHLORELLA, we know that this has an antifungal activity. It's been known for that for a long time. It's very effective against certain types of fungus. So we do know there's all different kinds of fungus. We also know during the present pandemic that we have what's called hyper fungus. We have some fungus that we've never seen before that had to be diagnosed. And it was really important, again, to be able to bring out a product that could help people's bodies in this fight. And again, it was extremely important to me, Clay, because of my personal battle with fungus.
Your battle, your experience.
Yeah.
You're right. And experience is usually one of the best teachers.
Yeah.
Is there a silver bullet? Is there one thing you can do? No. And as you've hit on multiple times in the past about, the multi-barriers, right? You have to give the immune system, you have to give the body, different layers of protection, right? So when you look at what CleanSlate does, when you look at the multiple ingredients that are in ReLive, and then we'll probably hit on Restore in a second, but you have to give the body the tools to go to work, right? If you have your army, which is your immune system, you can't just go to war with one weapon.
Right.
You want shields, you want different weaponry, you want as many options as possible, because you don't know, what kind of defense you're going to come up against. And one of the things you've done is, whether it's innate or through your history, is understanding, and I want you to hit on this a little bit, of the importance of not just looking at an ingredient and putting an ingredient in a product, but how certain ingredients will work with other ingredients to make compounds that amplify the effects of said ingredients, right? So when you're looking at ReLive and you're adding in MCT powder, right? And you're adding in cayenne pepper along with
so you read my ingredients.
Oh, maybe I do. And you're creating synergy amongst these ingredients to compound their benefits and effect. Touch on that a little bit.
Well, so I say this a lot to you guys, we're creating barriers, right? So when you're educating your customers or you're talking to people that have issues, you just need to tell them, listen, there's not a silver bullet. It's a daily battle that we have. Look, life's not easy. I've been talking about this all day in different podcasts. Life is not easy. And the inside of our bodies, life's not easy for our cells either. And look, you owe your cells, your body, your blood, everything inside of you, you owe yourself and the city inside of you to do what's best. And that means creating these constant barriers, these constant blockades, or here's another way to look at it. You're cutting off the signaling with certain things that are causing your body to be off balance, that are causing illnesses, and you're cutting that down so that your body becomes in peace and equilibrium. Lisa just made a comment about Patrick being good for me because he's calm. And she's right. It's very important for me to be around calm people because.
Patrick just cried a little bit.
Did you see what I just did? I just pointed to Clay.
He just had to wipe a tear because you said that.
No, well, they're crying because they know what I deal with every day anyway. So, you need this balance, right? I'm very thankful for you, but I'm joking. But you need this balance, you need this peace, you need this equilibrium. When you have this war going on, where fungus is growing, parasites are growing, the body is sick, of course you get an autoimmune disorder. Of course you get sick. Give your body the natural ingredients it needs, and it's not one ingredient. You need constant changes and constant things to go into the body so that you are the healthiest you can be. And if you get tired of that, if you say to yourself, I don't want to keep doing this, well, okay, that's fine. You get up every morning, you brush your teeth, you put an outfit on. It's equally or more important, I would argue more important to do what's best for the inside of your body. And that's why all these different ingredients and the way we source them, the way that I made them, the way that you guys use them, the way you guys even help each other from a mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual perspective, it's part of this whole equilibrium that causes us to be on balance, which is why I say all the time, it's not just the products, it's the ambassadors and the people and the positive energy in this group, because it takes all of this to make our lives better. It really does.
Are you saying that the community itself is empowering and creating greatness?
Yes. I would say it's one of the most important ingredients into what you do and what we all do.
It's power to the people.
That's right. But I see that Restore's on here, and I say this all the time. I've been really, I've gotten used to saying this when I'm talking to people. The root community came to clean up people with CleanSlate and to restore people's life with Restore, and to help people zero in on what's best for them, what's best for their mission, and what's best for their lives. And Restore is really important because it was made to really rebuild the microbiome and support the body. And that includes helping the body with leaky gut, because leaky gut is one of those things that really, really hurts people. And we know that leaky gut, there's all this mold, there's all this fungus that's attached to that, as well as parasites.
So if you have glyphosate and you've got metals in your system that are damaging the gut lining, and you have that leaky gut, that means the fungus, some of the stuff that's in your gut is actually going to get into your bloodstream, which means it's going to get into organs. It's going to go into other issues, and it's beginning to create chaos and proliferate and cause problems in other areas of the body.
Yeah, which is why you have to bring in a hero like curcumin, turmeric.
Oh.
And the root.
And black cumin seed oil.
Yeah, but if you really, I have to tell you, every time I think of curcumin, I think of like Superman coming in to save the day, because whether it's bacteria or fungus or parasites or viral particles, we know there's so much data behind curcumin and black cumin seed and resveratrol and aloe vera and all the different things that we're using. But I think it's really important to point this out. You know, people say, why do you have curcumin in almost all your products?
Because it's outstanding.
And it has a lot. Turmeric is known to have antifungal activity. It's known to really help not just with one strain of Candida, but with 14 strains. And even with the isolates, it's able to really break through and help. So it's all like, there's been lots of studies, you know, of course, the turmeric curcumin with antibiotics, as well as antivirals, but as well as antifungals, because we know it's almost like a fungicide where it just gets rid of all the Candida species.
So depending upon how you combine those ingredients, you know, with other collaborators, with Restore, there's a really, really high concentration of curcuminoids. And because you're combining it with other antifungals, that it actually amplifies the antifungal effects of those ingredients. But when we look at Zero In, you combine it with other adaptogens that are dopamine and serotonin agonists, which curcumin is also an amazing adaptogen, you know, for producing serotonin. You're actually shifting and you're putting a different focus on that ingredient to work in a different manner because of how it's combined. You can look at it like olive oil. Like if you're cooking with olive oil, you might prepare a dish with olive oil in your cooking, but you can take the same olive oil and put it on a salad and apply it differently. And it's going to magnify different effects based on how you're using it.
Yeah, but I had a very profound effect that happened in my late 20s when Rex and Ronaldi were two of the most famous researchers when it comes to fungus. And they showcased, and I had the opportunity to be able to see all this and experience all this. They would do autopsies on the brain and on the stomach and throughout the body. And I remember one that just I've never gotten rid of this. They showed a surgery where they cut open the brain and there was literally mushrooms, fungus growing on the brain. So you can get fungus from roses, if you look at a rose at the thorns, you can get a type of fungus from that. Birds, when they use the bathroom, carry certain types of fungus. And if it gets certain type of fungus gets in your body, it's almost impossible to get rid of it.
Cat scratch fever. Which
is why, like, I don't think it's in this deck, but like pine bark and velvet bean and some of those other ingredients really help with that. So I really wanted an adaptogenic that helped communicate by cleaning neurotransmission, which is really a study that a lot of people don't understand. And it's hard to prove. It's like liposomes. Birgit was asking me about liposomes, and I told her, you know, in the United States, they really don't like you to use that word when it comes to a nutraceutical. And the truth is, it's very hard to measure anyway. It's the same with when you're looking at these mold spores and looking at autopsies. But now, again, there have been cases where they actually show, like this one case was unbelievable to me. There were literally mushrooms growing out of the brain. And then there was like pine bark, like a bark, because it was a fungus. And so that really has led me to studying as many things as possible, because I have this personal belief, which a lot of people won't agree with me, but I think fungus is one of those things that causes autoimmune and causes certain types of cancer. And I do know, and Clay, I'm sure you know, that the pollution and the heavy metals make fungus grow. Yeah. So it was really important to me to create a line that was really combating all of this and not just one thing.
Well, and this gets into the conversation of what you talked about. There's 2 or 3 forms of black mold that have been discovered in the environment, in the air, in the last couple of years, 2 years for that matter. And it's known that there are frequencies, a lot of them coming from different cell towers and such, that are transmitting frequencies that cause the proliferation and growth and development of those molds. And it's the heavy metals like aluminum that are actually the receiver of those frequencies. So when you have the heavy metals combined with mold, it activates the growth in the body and causes a massive proliferation, which creates chaos.
And I want to point this out. So we talk a lot about, because of the immune mitochondria defense shield, we talk a lot about NAD, the mitochondria. I know we're changing the name because of Europe. We're changing the name
of the product.
But I was going to say this. So just so you guys know, the fungus interferes with NAD. Fungus interferes with the mitochondria. Fungus interferes, we think now, with telomeres and aging. So it's really important to cut that fungus off, or to try to basically disband the way that it's proliferating. And you can see from this study, it's showing the review of inhibiting basically fungus through black cumin seed. And you guys know, anyone that knows me knows how much I have studied and know about black cumin seed. I've said this many times. Many pharmaceutical companies have used black cumin seed and turmeric. Many pharmaceutical biotech companies have tried to, patent different things, but we have one of the strongest forms of black cumin seed oil,
and in the highest concentration.
Highest concentration that we're using. And again, we want to stop the pathogenic effect. We want to stop the toxology. And to do that, you've really got to use the right concentration, and you've got to make it in the right way. And that was another reason that this was used in the Restore. And I'm going to go back to this because I tell this story all the time. Clayton was against Restore.
Well, I was thinking, I love how we function, because I was thinking of bringing up this conversation because I was going to go over the cost conversation. Quality costs more, and of course you're bridging the gap, which is why I love you.
I didn't mean to. I didn't know what you were going to talk about.
No, because you know what I was going to talk about, because I was telepathically giving you the signals. Because that's why neurotransmitters are important, because not only is the dopamine and serotonin communicating within you, it also communicates with those around you. So we are connected. I don't need a USB cable to be connected to you.
Oh.
I also have a PhD in Ramanetics.
Okay,
but talk about because here's a lesson for everyone in business: quality costs more. So when you were creating Restore, you did some things that no one's ever done before, and we argued over cost versus quality. And as we know, I don't often win arguments, because you're smarter,
Clayton,
better looking.
Okay, let's be honest.
And I love you.
You don't even ask my opinion. You usually do whatever you want. So there's not even an argument, because it's
not entirely true.
When it comes to formulas, you listen to me.
Yes, I have to, because you're smarter than me. So talk about that a little bit in the importance of formulation, because there are many companies, and we see this across the board, not just in the antifungal conversation, but companies that are selling supplements, and they put an ingredient in it, but the amount of the ingredient or the quality of the ingredient is insufficient to do what any of the data supports that ingredient is capable of doing.
Yeah.
So speak to that a little bit.
Well, so we could have made Restore, I could have made Restore with significantly less ingredients, or I could have used different things so it didn't cost so much, in different concentrations. And I refused to do it unless I could use what I wanted to use. Clayton, and I've told this story many times from the beginning, Clayton said it's too expensive, we can't do it. The manufacturer said they couldn't do it. And so I said, well, then I just don't want to launch it. If they can't do it the way I want, that's going to help people. And it was hard because there's 15 packets, there's 30 days or 31 in a month. And I wanted, 30 packets, and it just wasn't possible. And
because we would have been looking at a retail price of around $200 a box.
Well, and that's why I tell people you can take 1/3 of the packet and put it in the refrigerator if you want. But there's some people that take 3 to 5 packets, including me when I don't feel good. But it was really important that it was the specific formulation that I wanted. And so we kept it. And I don't know what you're talking about with. No,
you hit it. I mean, you made sure that you had, a high concentration of active ingredients that has actually never been put in a formula together before. And that costs a lot more because you're uncompromising in quality. So you're using the highest quality ingredients and you're using a quantity of those ingredients. This is also greater than anything else in the market. So when you look at Restore is as unique in its category as anything else, and it is actually more advanced. But as we
Restore helped my face. CleanSlate and Restore helped my face.
Because it's so powerful, you can use it topically. And as you talk about, a lot of the skin issues can be fungal.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then I know we're moving on to natural barrier support. And you guys, I want to say this, natural barrier support is not our #1 seller. However, it's something that I wish people would take every day. A lot of people only take it when they get sick. And I just want to say this, the vitamin D3, and that's another ingredient. And I know you guys know this. Why does Christina use so much vitamin C? Why does she use so much vitamin D3? Why does she use so much curcumin? Turmeric. And again, it's because of the ability that certain vitamins and certain minerals have. And if you use them and make them the right way and how they can help the body. And with vitamin D3, we know that it is something that helps with infectious diseases.
And we'll see this on the next slide real quick.
Yeah. And we know it helps with the immune system, just like vitamin C and zinc. We also know that it is something that is, again, like a fungicidal product. And again, fungicides are basically something that you would spray to get rid of fungus. And I really want to show this particular, I want to talk about this slide because it's really important. People think of a vitamin as not that significant, but it's how you make the vitamin. It's what you do. It's how you make it more bioavailable and efficacious. And that's what I think is so important about natural barrier support. I wish most people would put it in water and at least have 1/3 of a teaspoon a day because it's really helping with the integrity of the cell membrane. And that's one of the things you have to preserve when you're fighting anything, whether it comes to fungus, parasites, bacteria, viruses, heavy metals, environmental factors. You really want to preserve the integrity of the cell membrane. And I think that's what's so important with the particular type of vitamin D3 that's used and that's made in the natural barrier support. I want to go to the last bullet. It says in an experimental study, Candida infected mice treated with low dose vitamin D had reduced fungal burden and better survival when compared to untreated mice. So what does that mean? What that means is if fungus proliferates, a body dies, right?
Because it will take over.
It will take over. I mean, look at, you guys saw the pictures in your mouth. And so what people don't realize, that's inside of your body. It can be in your GI, it can be in your brain, it can be in your heart, it can be all over in the bloodstreams, in your lungs. So it's really important to treat this and to preserve the integrity of the cell membrane. And that's why people ask me, why do I need to take, natural barrier support? And one of the reasons is because giving you the support, it's not just vitamin D3, it's also the vitamin C that we've already talked about, and it's also the zinc. Because when people look, like even in the pediatric units, and I think that's going to be one of the slides, in intensive care, so when you look at children in your intensive care in the pediatric units, when you look at children, I'll give you an example. My daughter was premature. They have a lot of fungus. They really do. You can see it in their mouth. You can see it in their, their bodies. Because
in a vaginal birth, when a baby is born.
Well, it's not just vaginal. Like Merritt was a C-section. It happens in C-sections too.
Is it more prevalent in C-sections because of the improper delivery and what they're exposed to?
It's prevalent in both, but we know, like, for basically your premature children, like even the March of Dimes did this huge thing on this. It reduces the zinc has been used in many of these units to basically reduce these infections in children. The problem is with babies, going back to diclofenac and fluconazole, you got to be careful when you treat with pharmaceutical antifungals. To use it for a long term or to use high doses is really bad for the liver and for the organs in the body. So that's not the first thing that doctors go to. They really want to show benefits from different things they're giving the babies. And again, zinc is one of the supplements that's used. And we know that it's helped children. There's lots of studies that show it's helped children really fight the Candida infections in their body, which again can be not just problematic. How do I say that?
I like you say problematic.
Thank you, baby. Problematic, but also can be something that's disastrous. Can be life-changing and life-altering. So
with babies, if mom was taking some natural barrier support herself, in third of a teaspoon a day, would she also be able to give the baby like a few drops, or
Yes.
would mom, so she could give the baby a few drops of the water with natural barrier support, but then she could also take it herself? And we get to the references of everything you've just gone through. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you were to look at popular substances that people like to consume, is there like one thing that stands out that's loaded with mold and mycotoxins?
You mean, are you talking about cheese?
No.
What are you talking about?
Maybe I'm talking about coffee.
Oh, yeah. Well, we know that.
But I mean, we're talking about mold.
Yeah, but we have a product that's coming out, Rahm Roast.
What?
That we detox the mold and the fungus out of the coffee.
Oh, let's, we're on the reference side now. So let's get rid of this thing and let's actually, Jayla, get rid of this so we can talk. We're on the main screen right now. Booyah, Stuart. Let's hold on here. You figured out how to detoxify coffee?
I love coffee.
What?
Yeah. But I've always hated that it has mold and fungus and all this stuff in it. I hate that. So I love coffee, and I wanted to make something that people could really help their bodies.
My God, woman, what have you done?
I want to help people like get up in the morning and have the best coffee they've ever had. And the Root ambassadors deserve it, and their customers deserve it. Listen, Regina is almost 80. She needs it.
Well, Clara's closer to 80 than Regina is. So we know coffee's the second most consumed beverage on the planet.
She's actually water. Not close to 80. She's 76.
She's closer to 40 than she is 80.
That's right. No, I mean, I think, I started drinking coffee when I was little. I've told this story before. My grandmothers would give us coffee with like all this milk and all this sugar. My mother, I used to fight with my mother.
Both of those feed fungus.
I know. Well, my mom would give it to the kids, but it was like our treat. Like instead of dessert, you would get this coffee. There was more sugar and milk than anything, but we always felt like we were adults because we got coffee. So my fascination with coffee, was from when I was little. And then of course I studied coffee enemas. I've studied coffee used for cancer. I've studied coffee used for autoimmune disorders. And the big problem is the coffee that most of us have a lot of bacteria and fungus. So I really wanted to create something that people would love, would enjoy, could use every day, and would help their health. And that's what was important. And I'm extremely excited about it.
So when we go to Cyprus,
and I didn't name it. So Ted and Clayton named it Rahm Roast, and I was so happy because I was like, well, at first I was like, I don't want something named after me. And then I started thinking, wait a minute, I love coffee, so I'll allow that.
Oh. And when you get to taste it, because you haven't had the full experience of the Rahm Roast, because we actually gave the bags that I brought home away because we had to have other people try it. Duquesne is the resident coffee expert.
Yes.
He's beanie over this stuff. And so what we did is we didn't just do this in the United States because, it was difficult to find what we wanted in the United States. And beans are being imported from everywhere. And part of the problem is the time it takes from beans getting picked, put in the bag, to where they get to the place because of duties and transfers and tariffs and moving everything around. It could be difficult in the time, and things get a little toxic. So while we were in Cyprus, we met with a master roaster there.
They took we
took some
formula.
of the goodies. And what did we use? Well, we used the concentrate from CleanSlate to spray the beans. It's a different concentrate that I use. So it has some of the CleanSlate formula, and then I changed it. And
so
then
tell the
a little touch up. And we have.
I love how Clayton's like a little touch up. Every time I make a change, like a little touch up.
That's right. It's like when you're putting makeup on me.
I never put makeup on you.
That's right, because I'm flawless.
Okay, after you get done with this, I have to say something.
Okay.
Are you
No, so we took your work, and then because of our relationships in Cyprus, we're able to source. And what we did is we listened to the master roaster. We got the best beans in the world. which the most popular coffee beans in the world right now.
No one on this phone. So someone said to me, did someone introduce you to these people? No one introduced us to these people in Cyprus. These are all new contacts that we made. Although I will tell you guys, I love all of you guys that are in Cyprus because we have a huge root community over there. And I will say this, I have been to Cyprus for years, and that's how I got to Lebanon and Syria. And I worked on a stem cell project in Cyprus.
You actually owned part of a hospital in South Cyprus.
I had a small ownership, and I helped with patients that were paralyzed and stem cell treatments years ago when I used to be a researcher in that area. So I love it. But we were able to find someone through just knowing different people that we knew. However, I want to say this to the root community. You guys have opened a lot of doors there as well as all over the world, and we're very thankful for you. And I do want to say this before we get off. I'm excited about Rahm Roast. I'm excited about the skincare line, but I'm almost more excited about what we're going to do as a community all throughout the world. You know, we're going into Asia. I expressed to you guys that I was asked to do a podcast that will stream and be on some of the television that's going to be called Root for Women. And I'm very excited about that. And I want to say this, like, I love the United States, I love Europe, but I feel like our mission as a root community does not have boundaries. Our mission as a root community has to help women, children, men all over the world. And it can't be a border. It can't be a country. It has to be everywhere. And I'm very thankful for this. And I want to bring a lot of the women into these projects with me. I will be going in on Sunday and meeting with the different governments throughout Emirates. And I'm excited about creating a platform that the women and men in this community can help as we bring equality and acceptance, because I understand that each country sees women and men differently. But my goal is to create an equal environment where we celebrate each other's differences, but we empower each other for being who we are and who we were born to be. So I want to say this because I feel like there isn't anything that I do alone, that we all do it together. And each story is so empowering that every person has here. And I think the love and the acceptance that we have is so important. And I want to say this, recently we've had many different disagreements among leaders and different people. And I'm so thankful for this community and how you guys have worked it out, how you stay committed to the mission and what you're doing. And I'm just so proud of you guys. I say this to Clayton all the time. The negativity I don't want around this community, the people that are self-serving, that only care about their own mission and not others, that's not who we are. We are here to love, to serve, and to empower others. And I couldn't be more proud of this community, because I really feel like because of you guys, we have the opportunity to help even more and more countries and more people.
So scientists, really smart scientists, have understood for a while that the universe is constantly expanding, right? It's not stagnant.
Yeah, and we understand that our energy, we communicate with each other. That's why I always say you should be around people with a very positive energy so you can keep your energy up.
So if the universe is constantly expanding, that would mean that the rootiverse should constantly be expanding as well.
Well, they are. They're working so hard. Everyone's trying to help so many people that don't have hope.
Oh, yeah. But I see your differences, and I will tell you, I like what I see.
Okay. Okay, and I think that's the end because we have another podcast.
Well, that's it then.
Yeah.
We hit it on the.
This made my day as usual. Every time I get on this call, it makes my day. So thank you, you guys.
Thanks for Thanks for letting us sit together and have time together. You guys get to watch because this is our private time.
Yeah, we had dinner last night with it was for what we're doing here in Austin, and Clayton was on a Zoom. Someone said to me, I think it was Lisa, I don't want to interfere with your time with Clayton. And I said, we don't have alone time. We have time with everyone, but this is one of the happiest times I have to see you guys. So thank you.
And as a wise man says, konnichiwa.
Thank you, you guys. Much love.